Hello, geeks and gamers. It's Sir Guido back here again. I've got another video for you today. This time I want to talk a little bit about something that's not board game related. I know I've been doing a lot of board game videos today, or lately rather, I should say. But this time I want to talk about something that's not board game related. What I want to talk about, see, I'm getting ready to walk out here in just a few minutes as soon as we're done with this video, to go to my local game store. Well, what made me got to thinking of, well, that was a horrible sentence. What I got to thinking about was that how great it is that my friendly local gaming store really supports what I do for them. I try to help my game store out a lot. I run a lot of games there, as I've mentioned before. I do Pathfinder Society. I'm the store's coordinator. I run board game meetups every week. I try to run special events when I can, one-shot games, things like that. Recently, the store had its 1-year anniversary, and I had these shirts made. It says Gateway Gamers here on the front because the store is called Gateway Games and More, and there's their logo and things right here on the back as well. Did all of that for them for their anniversary. I like to try to do a lot of things for them because they are a great store, and like I said, they do support what it is I do for them and what I do there in the store. And I think that's really key, honestly, for the success I've had here recently. Um, I'm not trying to bag on anyone here in the area, but I've kind of noticed in the time that I've been running Pathfinder Society that there are several stores in this area where Pathfinder Society is ran, and Pathfinder Society is not very successful. A lot of games have to get canceled. There's a very difficult time finding GMs to run those games. Either there's a lack of GMs, a lack of players. Something ends up happening to where the games have to get canceled. There just seems like there's a couple of people in the area that are very into making sure the Pathfinder Society is successful, and they try hard. But I think the thing that what makes my store so successful as opposed to some of the other stores out there is that I do have direct support from my store owners. Todd and Wendy are great. At Gateway Games and More, a lot of times I will get emails just out of the blue from someone that I've never met before, and the email usually starts off with, "Hey, I was at Gateway Games and More today, and Todd told me to email you." And then it goes on to say, "I have this question about Pathfinder or Pathfinder Society, or I've heard you run Pathfinder Society, or I'm interested in Pathfinder," or whatever it is. There's always a question, and I'm more than happy to answer those questions. And I'll help them out, point them in the right direction to making a character for Pathfinder Society if that's what they're interested in, answer their question, talk a little bit more about Pathfinder if they're just looking for Pathfinder in general, talk about the different Pathfinder games that are run in the store that aren't Society related, pretty much whatever I need to do to kind of help them out. But these are people that probably would get lost in the fold if it weren't for the fact that I had such great store owners. On top of that, even the ones who don't email me, a lot of times there's a big calendar in the store that shows all the events that's going on there in the store. And a lot of times when people come in and they just mention Pathfinder Society or Pathfinder in general, or if they have questions about Pathfinder, a lot of times Todd will go, "There's the calendar. Look, every other Friday we have Pathfinder Society. It's a great way to start playing in Pathfinder, to learn about Pathfinder, to get the chance to play with other people, to learn more. Just come in. I'll let Mike know you're coming. You can show up early, and he'll help you make a character, or here's his email, or whatever it is. He's right there trying to help people out, to get them involved. He's not just about selling books in your face, because he understands that if you're coming to Pathfinder Society and you start enjoying Pathfinder, you're probably going to buy the books. So just by getting you to enjoy the game that I'm running, he's going to make money. So that's really a great thing for him, because maybe he might not buy a book, but when you come into Pathfinder Society, you might buy drinks, you might buy snacks. He's going to get something out of you in general. The basic concept I think that he has is less about making sure he makes a certain amount of money off of every customer, as in just getting more customers. Because, as the more customers you have, the more word of mouth gets out there, the more customers you'll gain from that. And next thing you know, you're going to be a successful business because you have thousands of people in the area who look to you for their products instead of just the core group that you're used to having in your store. And I think he understands that and realizes that, so he supports a lot of gaming in his store. I've been talking a lot about Pathfinder Society in that regard, but it works in a lot of ways, not just in your gaming store. If you're running a home game and you get support from, your family, your wife, your girlfriend, your brothers, your sisters, whoever it is who is at your home or wherever it is you're having your game, that having some support from those people is great. I used to run my own home game here in my house, and my wife was fantastic about really supporting me. She made sure that at the time I was working and I ran games on Saturdays and I worked on Saturdays. So it was usually pretty difficult for me to run home. I'd get off work at 4:30, get home about 5. My players usually started showing up around 6. Left me about an hour to get something to eat, change into something more comfortable, get my game stuff out, get things ready, try to get organized and everything else. I didn't really have time to do much else. So my wife was very good at making sure to keep the house clean, get everything. She would a lot of times would get my game stuff out because I used to keep it in one little container, so she'd just bring it out and sit in the dining room over here where we used to play. So I'd have it ready when I get home. I could just pull everything out that I needed. She'd set the area up. I was pretty fond of having like TV dinner type trays where I could keep books on next to where I sat, things like that for organizational purposes. She'd put that sort of stuff out for me. Our table has a leaf in it. A lot of times we keep it with just the smaller version with the 4 chairs. She'd always make sure to spread it out, put the leaves in there, and put the extra chairs out. She was very, very good about supporting me and making sure that I was ready to do my game and I wouldn't have to do everything on my own. Because, running a game is a lot of work. It really is. I mean, it's fun and it's rewarding, don't get me wrong, but there is a lot of work involved in running a game, and I think sometimes the players don't realize that. Unless the player themselves has GM'd before, I think a lot of times a player doesn't really realize what all goes into the game. Um, for example, right now on the Happy Jacks forums, there's a guy on there by the name of Hour 11, and he has an absolutely amazing set of things posted that he's used for his game. These very awesome 3D city representation maps. He has graphics and things that he's used to represent text messages because he is running a modern style game. He has like IMs, email, for templates and things. He has tons of stuff that he's created for his game to really create a great game that has a really nice feel to it and really immersive, and that's a ton of work. I'm starting a Legend of the Five Rings game up here in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be a winter court setting. So there's going to have to be a lot of role-playing. Because there's a lot of role-playing, I have to create upwards of 50 NPCs before that game starts. Maybe not completely stat them out, but I have to give them all stories. Because they have to be interacted with the by the PCs. So they have to have something in their background, some sort of maybe thing that they don't want people to know, or something they do want people to know, or some particular skill that they're very good at that they might be wanting to flaunt, a goal that they're trying to work toward, a scheme that they're trying to accomplish, whatever it is. They have to have something ingrained in that character so that when the players start interacting with everyone around them in the court, there's a reason that they're interacting with those people, and those people have something to give them and something to offer. So that's been a ton of work. I mean, I've been working on that game now for about 3 weeks. I have about 3/4 of the NPCs done. I've been making a forum for my game, because with the nature of the game store where I play at and where I'm going to be running this game at, it would be almost impossible to run a weekly or bi-weekly game for these players because of their schedules. The only day we can fit it in that everybody's available is on Sundays, and at this local gaming store, I'm already playing a game bi-weekly on Sundays, Battlestar Galactica. The store's only open noon to 6, and I play Battlestar Galactica 2 to 6 every 2 weeks. The third week of every month is a meetup group where people come in and play one-shot RPGs, and I sometimes participate in that. So that one's out. Can't use that weekend. So pretty much forced to play this one weekend a month. So in order to get plenty of role-playing in and really enjoy ourselves and get into the game, uh, I'm going to start trying to role-play a little bit through a play-by-post, getting people, to interact with the NPCs that way, giving them information that way in between game sessions, and then when we have a chance to sit down and play, we'll play a full 6 hours from noon to 6, and there won't be any, trying to get people updated on what happened last time, reminding people of what happened, because there's been a 3-week gap, because if all goes well, people will be role-playing in between, so there won't be any of that worry. But because, with that, I do again have support from my wife. She has, as much as she knows that I've been working so hard on this and spending so much time, she doesn't necessarily like it when I spend so much time on game stuff because it is taking away from our time together. But she's been understanding. She knows that this is important to me and that I really want to do this well and run a great game, so she's been very supportive. She's helped me dig out my old game stuff from my old Legend of the Five Rings games that I've run in the past. So she's been very supportive in that. So I really, really appreciate that from her. The game store has been very supportive in regard of, giving us space to play, so we know where we can play. They've actually helped a little bit in, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically getting the word out, letting people know that I'm running the game, and on top of that, unfortunately, L5R in our store is not a huge game. There's not very many people who actually know about it, so they haven't really sold the book much. So when I mentioned I was going to be running the game, the first thing that Todd did is he actually went out and ordered, 3 or 4 of the core books, so that people could buy them that were going to be in my game and have them available. Those books, I believe, are now all sold, so that worked out for him. He's getting something out of it, and I'm getting something out of it because he's supporting my game by making sure that my players have the things that they need. They offer, he's offering his computer so people can look up names and things, because, apologize for that. Anyway, he's offering his computer so people can look up names for their characters, because most of my players have never played this game before and aren't really used to picking out Asian sort of pseudo-Japanese names. So he's offering, his store computer so people can look things up, character portraits, any of that sort of thing. He's very awesome at doing a lot of that stuff. So pretty much, I've been rambling a little bit here, but what I really wanted to get to is getting support is very key in running a successful game. That's kind of really the thing I wanted to throw out there. So if your game is not running well, if you're trying to put together a game and you're not getting the players that you're hoping to get, or the number of players you're hoping to get, or even the attention you were hoping to get, take a look and see if you're trying to just get everything done yourself. And sometimes that can kind of throw people off, and they don't really like that sort of thing. And if you're putting too much of yourself into the game anyway, that can kind of put people off a little bit as well. Because, if you're putting so much into the game now, when it comes time to play, are you really going to be into it? Who knows? But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about. So there we go. Thanks again, Geeks and Gamers. This has been Sir Guido. Have a good one.